Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Welcome to Consider Islam. Live with Kenny Bomer, an affiliate and founder of the Consider This TV network. Any views, actions, or comments made by panelists during this broadcast do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of CTTV network hosts or affiliates. This channel and its affiliates do not claim any right over any of the graphics, images, or songs used in this video that are protected under copyright by other individuals or organizations. All rights are reserved to the respective copyright owners. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. The works on this channel are protected under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA, of 1998, which amended the existing U.S. copyright law to address important parts of the relationship between copyright and the Internet. Now here is your host, Kenny Bomer.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon everyone who's watching, who may watch in the future. My name is Kenny Bomer. This is Consider Islam, and I do bear witness there's no God other than Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his final servant and the seal of all prophets. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I'm not sure if you can hear me. I'm not at home right now, so I don't have my normal system. I'm on the road, away from home, and so I'm using a different setup. Actually, just using my laptop, but yes, it's indeed a different setup. So if you can hear me in the chat, please let me know. I want to say assalamu alaikum to everyone in the chat. I did see Brother Muhammad with Coventry Faith Foundation in the chat earlier. Assalamu alaikum to you, brother. And I'm going to go ahead and share the link. It's all clear, great. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, brother. I'm going to share the link for whoever would like to join the panel. Feel free to do so. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be here today, but if you'd like to join the panel, you can do so by clicking on the link that I'm about to post in the chat. Okay, so I posted that, so you're welcome to come and join me on the panel if you like. The topic of the show today is basically discussing my new book, Your Right to Self-Identify, My Right to Disagree, that will be published on September the 5th. Inshallah, God willing. So listen, I need 20 people. I need 20 people to join the book launch team, right? I need 20 more people. I've got a number of people who've already joined the book launch team, but I need 20 more people to join the book launch team. And if you join the book launch team, I'm going to send you a free book once the book is published. And once the book is published, I'm going to send you a free book. If you like to pre-order, you can pre-order the book. It's available on Amazon now. The Kindle version, you could pre-order the book now, but the official release date or the launch date is September the 5th. And so if you'd like to join the book launch team, please send me an email at info@kennybomer.com. And I will tell you how to become a member of the book launch team. And you're actually going to get two versions of the book. You're going to get an early pre-release version, and you're going to get the official hardback cover or the hard cover, which may be the paperback, by the way, either the paperback or the hard back copy. Probably the paperback, to be honest. It's so I will send you a copy of the book nevertheless, or you can get the Kindle version if you would prefer that. But I will be sending you, as a member of the book launch team, I will be sending you a copy of the book for free. And I just need your help with a couple of things as a member of the book launch team. So if you'd like to do that, feel free to join the book launch team by sending me an email at info@kennybalmer.com. And I see Brother Muhammad is backstage, so I'm going to go ahead and bring him on and say Assalamu alaikum to the brother. Assalamu alaikum to you, brother. How are you?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Brother, mashallah, it's good to see you.
It's
Long
good to see you.
time no see, no hear. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, I'm doing just fine. I've been doing great. Just been busy. Just been busy, extremely busy, and so you haven't been online much at all.
Hmm.
But everything's going well. Other than that, you doing okay?
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, I'm fine. Jazakallah khair. I think the title of this book and the purpose of this book is very beneficial, especially in the times we're living in now, especially the teenagers and other than from the teenagers who are young in age. I think they need this information, especially the times that we were living in and the era that we're living at. This is very, very important. And I really commend you for your efforts and trying to, pump this book out to the masses. It's very important for us parents to kind of like be aware regarding this issue. And it's amazing. Thank you so much, Brother Kenny.
Alhamdulillah. May Allah accept my efforts and intentions. The thing is, brother, you've said it right that the children are youth of all ages, from pre-K to people who are still kids in college. As a matter of fact, they're still kids. They might think that they're grown. They might think that they know everything, but in fact, they do not. They're still kids, and they have a lot of life to live before they really get an understanding about how life operates. Matter of fact, we're still learning how to navigate this world full of tests and trials. But what's interesting is this gender ideologies are directly targeting children as young as pre-K, and I go into all of this in the book. I did a lot of research for this book, and I did a lot of research in a very short period of time. Although I made an original blog post about a year and a half ago, um, just touching on it, just after Bruce Jenner came out as uh, claiming to be a woman, and then was nominated as Woman of the Year on Vanity Fair magazine and so forth. I was like, oh my goodness gracious, what's the world coming to? But as we're starting to hear more and more about it, it's something that I feel very passionate about because it's a direct attack against the law, and for God conscious and God fearing people, we should all be standing up to say no, we're not going to accept these lies and this deception and these delusions. We're not going to accept it. You can call yourself anything you want to, but you're not going to force me in particular, or anyone who um, I know for that matter. I will defend anyone that I know against people who are trying to impose these type of lies and delusions and these false ideologies onto the masses. We have a right to say no. I don't have to agree with you. You can say anything you want to say. I'm not going to oppress you. I'm not going to attack you. I'm not going to harm you or try to instigate anyone else to do those things. But I do not have to agree with what you're saying. I just simply do not have to agree with it. Call yourself Shelly if you want to. Put on some high heels. But look, I can still see your Adam's apple, and I see your size 15 feet, and I know that you're not really a female, even though you are proclaiming yourself to be one. And because I know that you're not a female, um, I have a right to say that I don't agree with you, and I have a right to refuse to go along with the charades that you're playing, and I have a right to refuse to go along with the lie that's being spread and propagated. So that's what the book is about.
Mm.
But I talk about how these gender ideologies were originally introduced in the 60s with Dr. Alfred Kinsey and Dr. John Money and another a group of about 5 or 6 doctors, but they were the most prominent. One referred to as the father of gender ideologies, and one referred to as the father of the sexual revolution, Dr. Alfred Kinsey. And, so all these things go hand in hand. It's all attacks from the devil himself, Iblis, trying to lead people astray and causing people to believe that they can alter the creation of our God, our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we should be willing to speak up and say, no, I'm not going to accept that. And so if you feel the same way, I need your help in trying to push this book, inshallah, God willing. I need people to join the book launch team if you can, if you would like. I will give you a free copy of the book for joining the team, but I would need you to send me an email at info@kennybomer.com. I do have a couple of things that I would need for you to do as a member of the book launch team. That's just a matter of helping to promote the book itself. As a matter of fact, if you see along the bottom of the screen, it says share the hashtag my right to disagree. Please share that if you can on various posts and so forth. That is the hashtag for the book and this whole defense against these ideologies and so forth, as far as I'm concerned. And so I could use your help in that, God willing, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yeah. I think this thought process is dangerous when it comes to breaking the family structure, especially for those brothers and sisters who are really conservative. I think this way of destroying the family and mixing the genders or mislabeling the genders is very dangerous, and it has to be dealt with. And it's very rare that I actually see books in the market or in the stores who actually deal with this topic, because I think in the UK we are very conscious not to upset anybody. I don't know how it's like in America, but in the UK we're very submissive people. We're like, if the food comes cold, we don't complain. I'm sure in other countries, if the food comes cold and it's supposed to be warm, yeah, you call the waiter over and say, "Hey, look, listen, the food's not to my liking." But in the UK, we're kind of a bit more soft-hearted, whereas we'll just, like, as they say in the UK, we just pull our socks up and deal with it, and just eat the cold food and maybe complain later on. So I think this book, inshallah, will be much needed, and I definitely recommend the brothers and sisters to get onto the emails, contact Brother Kenny Bomer, and help him launch this book, because this book is for generations to come. It's not just for this year or next year. This is for generations to come. Brother Kenny, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's certainly what it's all about. As far as I'm concerned, it's for generations to come, which is the whole reason why I wrote it for the sadaqah that's involved in that. If someone is affected in a positive way by it, I truly believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reward me on the day of judgment for writing it and for my efforts and my intentions. Whether or not it's a bestseller or it doesn't sell any books at all, it's still the intention behind it. But I believe that we should all be trying to leave something behind that's positive, that can contribute to the perpetual blessings that we will receive on the day of judgment for any good that we leave behind in this life. And to me, it's a great opportunity to defend the truth and to defend Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and all the prophets and the messengers, including the last of the prophets, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the message that they've sent that is nothing but truth. And so, as God-fearing and God-conscious people, I feel it's our obligation to stand up against this falsehood. Matter of fact, Allah tells us to fight truth, fight against the falsehood, speak truth against falsehood, and it's our obligation. We should be all uniting in this And to be honest, we should be uniting whether or not we're Muslims, Christians, Jews, whoever we are. If we're God conscious on any level, we should be saying, no, 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 we're not going to have this. You're not going to try to redefine what the truth is and try to make what's wrong right, what's wrong, what's wrong right, and what's right wrong. We're not going to accept that. And, but yes, it's certainly for generations to come, inshallah, anyone who comes across this material and, um, you know, gets an idea of what was, even if things change eventually, but I don't see them changing. I think they're going to get worse before it gets better, to be honest. Um, because what's happening is people who do speak out against this in the age of cancel culture are being targeted, and you're being ridiculed and being called a hate monger and being called a bigot and being referred to as a transphobe and all these things, and for simply stating what biology says, for simply stating what the truth says. And if you speak the truth, somehow you are in the wrong as far as society goes, as far as this group pushing these ideologies in society goes. And this is, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned us about this as a sign before the day of judgment, where the man who's speaking the truth will be looked upon as though he's telling a lie, and the man who's telling a lie will be looked upon as though he's speaking the truth. And this is a prime example of that happening. It's happening on a mass scale, where politicians are behind it, doctors are behind it, lawyers, companies, Walt Disney, all these people are getting behind this movement as though it's a good thing, as though, how dare you speak out against it on any level, even if you do it politely and just say, hey, look, the science says that we can determine someone's sex, whether or not they're male or female, down to the very smallest cell within the body, that the biologist can put this very smallest cell under a microscope and tell you if this person was a biological male or a biological female. And what else is there? There's nothing else except for biological males and biological females. There's no in between. There's no third portion of that. There are what's referred to as intersex people that are hermaphrodites and people who suffer from physical deformities that may be internal and may be external, but their actual genes themselves are clear, in that despite whether or not someone has a deformity internally or externally, their genes clearly define that they're either male or female. You cannot be both. It's impossible to be both. And that's what the science says. And doctors who speak out and say that, they're being targeted just the same. They're being pressured into supporting their patients with what's called gender affirming care. And if you try to redirect the patients, they call it conversion therapy, and they accuse you of accusing the doctors and whoever engages in it of engaging in conversion therapy, like you're trying to convert a biological male who's claiming that he's female, trying to convert him into accepting the idea that he's a biological male that he actually is. So it's not conversion therapy, it's truth therapy. But if you speak on those levels, even doctors themselves are being attacked, and they're losing their jobs, and they're losing their practices. They're literally being forced by laws and so forth to support gender affirming care. And if they fail to do so, they become targets, and it's crazy. It's a very evil situation that we're living in. Very evil indeed.
Yeah, it's quite surprising how far people will go to destroy the normal way of life. It is quite disturbing, especially here in the UK. I don't think we hear it as much as what you probably do there in the States, but in the UK, maybe we're a bit more conservative. So this topic is still a bit sensitive, or they're waiting for another reaction before our government tries to push it a bit more. But I know our Prime Minister did speak against it regarding some of the athletes and stuff that he found it unfair. So and he got in trouble for that for coming out and saying that, and
Yeah,
it's quite surprising.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, even the politicians and so forth are are um, risking their careers and so forth in politics uh, if they speak out against it. So what do? In response, they play politics and they don't speak out against it. They either remain silent or they speak out in support of it. I don't know if you've seen recently that Macy Gray, um, if you know who Macy Gray is, a musical artist. She recently made some statements, stating clearly that whether or not you call yourself a woman or not, you can call yourself a woman all day, but that doesn't make you a woman, And so she
Yeah,
was speaking clearly about that, but after the pressure started getting to her, after people heard the interview that she was in saying those things, they started responding to her, putting pressure on her. Then she was on a early morning talk show within 3 days, making an apology, taking back everything that she said, and calling all the so-called transgender people heroes, um, totally contradicting everything that she originally said, which was the truth. So now she was placed in a situation where she was pressured into denying the truth, and she was pressured into agreeing with the deception and the lies. And so, um, you have members of parliament, you have
yeah,
members of the United States Congress, you have um, it's crazy, man. It's crazy that it's such a strong movement, which is a political movement, by the way. It's a political movement, inevitably, and it's like a religion. It's similar to Gnosticism and um, mystics, where they uh,
yeah.
believe that the soul exists outside of the material world and within the material world at the same time. It's crazy, but it's similar to early Gnostics and
Mm.
Christianity. And
It's a very good point that you made there, brother Kenny, and I do feel that some of these individuals sell their soul to the devil, and it's for me. I see the same kind of mirror image of the Antichrist or the Dajjal coming, and I ponder like how could anybody will follow the Antichrist, the Antichrist, and he will have on his forehead, kafir on his forehead. And the Prophet ﷺ has told us what his description will be, but still some people will sell their soul to him and still follow him.
yeah,
So I look at this particular pumping of this so-called uh, you know gender kind of like discussion, that people are selling their souls even though they know you know uh, that it's incorrect and it's not natural, So it's quite disturbing. It really is. And the book that you've got, inshallah, will hopefully give some ammunition, some tools in the toolkit to deal with this particular topic in a good way. Meaning
yeah,
that it's not about bashing; it's about
no,
education and knowledge.
yeah. It's nothing. There's nothing um, offensive in it. I made sure not to write anything that would be categorized as hate speech and stuff like that. Now, there's going to be people who are not happy with it, but just like they're not happy with truth being told. But that's just I'm not gonna compromise speaking the truth just to make someone comfortable. I'm just not going to do that. But I've made sure that have made it clear that I'm in support of defending anyone's rights and so forth, and defending anyone against oppression and injustice and being attacked and so forth. That includes quote unquote transgender people. I don't believe there's any such thing as transgender people. No one can actually change or transform themselves into anything else. But so I really hate. Very reluctant to use that expression. Matter of fact, in the book, numerous times I say so-called transgender people because, and that might sound offensive to people, but I explain why I say that, and I don't mean it offensively, even though I'm sure someone will probably take that offensively, but that's not the intention. The intention, the sole intention, is to defend against the idea that we should have to accept what someone else says when we know that it's a clear lie. And it's like, what about our rights? So you have a right to call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. Okay, that's fine. I don't really care about that. Call yourself, dress whatever you want to, do whatever you want to. I care about it in that it affects all of society, but as long as you're not bringing it to my doorstep and you're not trying to affect, my family members and people, my friends and family and brothers and sisters in Islam and people that I love. But the fact of the matter is they are doing that. And so what do you do in the face of that? Do you sit back and just just watch in amusement? Or do you step up and say, you know what? Allah has given me a gift. If Allah gave me nothing more than a mouth, the Prophet Muhammad said to stop injustice in any way that you possibly can. Do it with your hand, do it with your mouth, do it with your tongue, do it with your heart. Any way that you possibly can, you step up and speak out against injustice and wrongdoing. To stop the evil in any way that you can. And so, as I sit back and I ponder on these things, I'm thinking, I look at it the same way as you do, as far as, man, it's Iblis, it's the devil. There's no doubt about it. And it's like it's so prominent that people are selling their souls, and it's like the guitar player. You ever seen the guitar player who sells his soul to the devil because he wants to learn how to play the guitar real well, or he learns how to play the fiddle. There's a song called "Devil Went Down to Georgia" where the fiddle player battles the devil in a fiddle contest on a violin, right? And but what's the inevitable reason that someone would sell their soul? They're selling their soul because they want the notoriety from people, from human beings, right? So just put our God, our Creator, push him to the side. They're more concerned with getting the attention of human beings, making human beings their God. They want the attention of the human being, and inevitably, if you're looking for the attention from the human being, you're looking to be admired by the human being, but at the same time, you're worshiping the human being because you're devoting your time and your effort, and you're selling your soul in order to get, to please them in some way, whether it be playing the guitar to impress them with the guitar, and and they like listening to it. Yeah, it's kind of worshiping them while they're worshiping you at the same time. It's like a back and forth situation there where you're trading one for the other. And in the same way, if someone literally is selling their soul to the devil, well, he's benefiting. The devil will be benefiting from receiving your soul, and you're benefiting from what he has to offer in return. And it's the same thing. So a person like Macy Gray, by example, that I mentioned earlier, she's a musician, and she doesn't want to lose her record deal, and her name in the spotlight and in tours and all those things. And so, well, who sets all that up? People do. And so she doesn't want to offend people. So instead of offending people, she offends the truth, which is inevitably offending our God, our Creator. Originally, she spoke the truth. But then they put pressure on her, and then she retracted it, and now she's giving in to the lies and the delusions of people, and it's a sad state of affairs.
It is sad. Why I find another strange and disturbing is when they give this particular thought process an image or a logo. So they use various colors, like a rainbow, and that kind of symbolizes this type of movement. And even picking the rainbow colors, it's kind of like very mind manipulating, because as a young child, you're thinking rainbow and you're thinking of different colors, and you know, of course, the rainbow is beautiful to look at. But now they're symbolizing the rainbow colors with this kind of thought process.
Yeah,
And am I correct in that? I'm sure. I don't know
yeah,
how they use it in the
yeah,
US.
yeah. I've thought about that recently. I thought about that a
Mm.
couple of days ago when I passed by a daycare that had the rainbow. And they might have had the rainbows, symbol long before this transgender stuff. I don't know, but they have the rainbow stuff on their sign. And and when I drove by there, and I've thought about it before, and I literally thought, it's Allah that created the rainbow, and
Yeah.
so Iblis
Mm.
is trying to take what Allah has created and
Subhanallah.
corrupting it and distorting it. Even a
Mm.
human being, the greatest of Allah's creation, the human being that Allah described as the greatest of His creation, has taken the human mind and soul and distorted it and flipped it upside down and turned it inside out and making people believe that a little girl can be trapped inside of a man's body. Look at me. Imagine if I was saying, and there's guys that are far more bigger men than I am, and so or whatever, that much more burly or whatever however you want to describe it, who are saying that that they felt like their true self was a little girl trapped inside of that body. Imagine if I was saying that. Look at me, and if I'm saying that I'm really a little girl trapped inside of this body, and I just can't be comfortable in this body because I'm a female and I'm a girl or I'm a woman, and this is not really who I am. Who I really am is what's in my mind and what's in my thoughts, and that's what's important. That a
Mm.
person they took it from being um, a man who self-identifies, or vice versa, a man who self-identifies as a woman, but now they say that the the man who says that feels like he's a woman or thinks that he's a woman doesn't just self-identify as a woman; he is a woman because that's what he believes. That's what they're saying, that the person really is a woman. He's not just saying that he feels like a woman or he thinks he's a woman or he identifies himself as being a woman. They're saying that he is a woman. But wait a minute, no, he's not, because he'll never menstruate. He'll never have ovaries. He'll never give birth. He'll never, be able to breastfeed. No, he's not a woman. He is a man, a biological man through and through. His mind is distorted. His mind is corrupted, and the internet has been a huge part of that, and for many, many, many reasons. We could talk all night about it, but it's terrible, man. It's been so heavily on my mind. I mean, I used to day in day out listen to Muslim and Christian debates and so forth, and I still do periodically. Sometimes I just need a break from this transgender nonsense, but there's so much to it, and I feel like I need to equip myself even all the more, even though I've done extensive research. I feel like I've done a good job on this book. May Allah accept my efforts and my intentions, but I really concentrated on what's being said in this book, and the points that I wanted to make. I've spent put a lot of heart and effort and
Mashallah.
time into it.
Mm.
The only one that really knows is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and my wife, because she's been there watching me day after day, getting these things together. I mean, even as later as this weekend, getting the ebook prepared and so forth. I still have so much I have to do, but the thing is, the point I'm trying to make is that I've been just constantly listening to stories about these transitioners. I've watched so many documentaries, reading books and articles, and listened to stories about detransitioners, people who transitioned and then they regretted it and wanted their body parts back, but no, it's too late and so forth. It's such a it's such a crazy situation. It's so intriguing to me, but it's intriguing because I feel determined and feel obligated to defend Allah, and not that Allah needs defending, but it's us defending the truth for the sake of Allah. Um, and we're inevitably we're tested by these things. Are we going to be those who step up and uh, step up and speak truth? Allah says, "Let there rise among you those who are willing to step up and speak truth against falsehood. Let there rise among you a group that does that." And man, if Muslims can't do it, who can? The Muslims are the most equipped to do it, as a matter of fact. Um, and so, man, it's something. My book, Consider Islam. Uh, I was extremely passionate about that, and I feel like I'm just as equally, or maybe even more, because this is such a blatant and evil attack. It's even worse than Islamophobia, to be honest. I mean, in some ways, because it's an attack against women, it's an attack against children, it's an attack against Allah, it's an attack against biology and truth, and it's crazy, man. And I pray that Allah accepts my efforts, and I don't know what the book's going to do, what it's not going to do, but I know I've put my heart and my soul and my time and efforts into it, and spent time when no one knows what I'm doing. I'm by myself. I'm not looking for attention. I'm not looking for anything. It takes time, man, to write this book. It's taken a lot of time, a lot of effort, and I did it purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's the truth of the matter. And so I don't know what's going to happen, but I certainly didn't do it to please human beings. I did it to help human beings for the sake of Allah, but I certainly didn't do it to get rich or try to do anything other than to defend Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and defend the truth against falsehood. So here we are.
Subhanallah. It's you know what, Brother Kenny, but I was watching this comedy with Ricky Gervais. He plays like a reporter in a program called After Life, I think it's called. And there's a clip in there where like a 50-year-old man, he thinks he's an 8-year-old girl, and he dresses like in a little girl's costume. So he's a reporter, so he goes to the home to pick the story up. And it's just a ridiculous clip of this grown-ass man wearing a little dress and justifying that he's a child. And his wife looking at him thinking, what's wrong with you? And just like a comedy scene for about 5 minutes. And it's quite just disturbing at the same time. But that's how we can laugh at it. But that's how life is. This is how serious it is. There are actually people out there who think they are an 8-year-old girl, even though they've got a man's body. It's subhanallah, it's very disturbing.
It's crazy, brother. There's what's called body identity integrity disorder, where there's people who truly believe 100%. They believe that they're amputees, right? And so they will tell you that they're an amputee, and although you see all 4 limbs, they insist that they're amputees. And what do you respond? How do you respond to someone if someone came up to you and told you that, said, "Hi, my name is Bill, and I'm an amputee"? And initially, you would be shocked, just like you watching that little segment that you mentioned. And initially, it's funny. You think that Bill's telling him, he's just joking around because it's so bizarre. What he just said is so bizarre, and you take it as a joke. But no, Bill is serious, and he really believes that he's an amputee, and so much so that he seeks doctors out that trying to get them to amputate one of his limbs, because he truly believes that he's an amputee, and he cannot be comfortable unless he becomes truly an amputee. That he truly loses a limb. Of course, he knows he's not truly an amputee because he seeks out physicians, surgeons to remove these body parts. And what I'm saying right now, I'm not joking about this. This is true. There's people that really do this, and some of them go to the extent of they can't get a surgeon and doctor to actually remove their healthy body parts, so they try to do it themselves. They try to damage themselves to a point that the doctor has no other choice but to go ahead and remove the body part, making them an amputee. So if Bill, a person by the name of Bill came up to you or whatever name, come up to you and says, "Hi, I'm Bill and I'm an amputee," and initially you're like, "You're not an amputee. You have all four of your limbs." Certainly you're going to think that there's something mentally wrong with this person, because in fact there is something mentally wrong with that individual. He's got a mental disorder, and this is the same thing that happens with these types of people who have gender dysphoria, that used to be called gender disorder. It used to be called a gender identity disorder. That's what it used to be called. Now it's called gender dysphoria because the word disorder, they find it to be offensive. Now it's just a dysphoria, confusion. Instead of it being an absolute disorder, meaning that the word disorder, meaning that something is obviously wrong, now it's called a dysphoria where there's some type of a confusion there. That's more politically correct to them than the word disorder. So they've replaced the terminology in what's called DSM-5, which is a manual that's put together by psychologists and so forth in the medical field, people in the medical field dealing with these things. But just as there's people who believe that they're amputees, we have these people who believe that they're now. Gender dysphoria is real, but not all so-called trans people who call themselves transgender actually suffer from gender dysphoria. Some of them are just doing it because it's become the popular thing to do, and because they're getting attention for claiming that they're transgender. So they become online celebrities. They get their own shows on reality TV and so forth, and so they like the attention by calling themselves transgender. Whereas if they were just a normal John or Jane Doe, they don't get the attention. If you understand what I'm saying, it's like if I was seeking out attention and I start swearing up and down that I'm, I don't know, I'm a pirate. I'm a one-eyed pirate with a peg leg. I don't know, and I just insist on saying this all the time and insist that people accept the idea. Eventually it's going to start drawing attention, right? And that's what they're feeding off of. So not all of them actually have this mental disorder, this problem. Some are just doing it because it's like a trendy thing to do. It's like a social contagion, and it's called rapid onset gender dysphoria, where they do it rapidly. They didn't grow up believing that they were trapped inside of the wrong body. They just because it's become a popular thing to say or do online, they join that movement, and in order to get attention, in order to be a part of a particular group that they can fit in with, because otherwise they might be a little socially awkward or whatever. And so what do you do when someone comes up to you and says, "I'm an amputee"? Do you say, "Yeah, Bill," even though you're looking at all four of his limbs, right? "Yeah, Bill, you are an amputee. You should get something done about that. Here's a hacksaw, here's a chainsaw, here's a knife or whatever. Maybe you should go ahead and get one of these body parts cut off, or go to the doctor and get get a body part removed, one of these healthy, functioning body parts. Go ahead and get it removed because you are an amputee." Of course you don't do that. You don't say that. And so why would we tell a man named Mike that he's a little girl named Janet? And if he's declaring that, and you certainly shouldn't agree with him, because you're not doing anything but damaging him. You're actually lying. And instead of, if you really you truly care about these people, you tell them the truth. "No, Mike, you're a biological male named Mike. You're not a little girl named Janet. I know you might feel that way, but you're actually not. But I'm gonna be your friend, and I'm gonna help you get the help that you need. Um, but the help that you need is not being put on estrogen and going to get your private parts cut off and getting um, silicone stuffed into your chest to become a woman that you'll never be, to resemble a woman that you'll never be. That's not the option. So you don't tell someone to go do those things. Um, just like you wouldn't tell, Bill that he's an amputee and he should go get his body parts cut off that are very healthy. So a lot of these people are they're damaging their own very healthy bodies to match what their mind is thinking instead of getting them help, mental help to deal with the reality of their body. Instead, we're dealing with the delusion of the mind and altering and changing and cutting up and chopping up the body in order to match the delusion of the mind. And that's just crazy. It's psychotic. And shame on people on the day of judgment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to deal justly with the liars and the deceivers and those who seek to change the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like he said they would in certain verses of the Quran. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, it is disturbing, subhanallah. But like you said, I actually think some people are looking for the attention. They got low self-esteem, and I think I think this is kind of been brewing up for the last 10, 15 years as things are just seem to get too much into the open, just like homosexuality and same-sex marriages. This is just another step up now. I don't know if you can see the trend.
No, yeah.
It started off something as same-sex relationships. Then it got to they are able to get married, and some of the Christian organizations totally embraced it, saying that it's good to do that. And then from there, it's gone to the next level, and now it's come to this level.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to be a level above this?
Yeah.
What if you really think about it? It can get quite dark and scary.
It already is. It's already dark and scary, and that's why I said earlier. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better because when you start going down this type of a road where you're denying common sense and you're denying actual facts and what biology says and what science has been telling human beings for millennium, um, man, we're living in a very dark and evil time. Matter of fact, I describe it in the book as the most evil period of time that the human in human existence because I can't think of anything worse. I can't think. This wasn't happening in Sodom and Gomorrah. This is something that is so bizarre and so just crazy. I can't believe we're even talking. I mean, we're actually talking about, which is crazy. We're talking about human beings that believe that they are something totally opposite than what they actually are. You might as well be calling yourself a horse or a dog or a cat. Well,
Yeah,
the thing
absolutely.
is, brother, hey, listen, but they do.
Mm.
There's children in certain states, California, by example, that they self-identify as a cat, by example, and when the teacher asks them a question, they'll meow, and listen, yeah, yeah, purring, yeah. I mean, come on, are you kidding? No, but I know it sounds silly, but it's really happening. It's really happening, and the teachers can't say anything against the child. They
Mm.
can't correct the child. They have to accept what the child is claiming themselves to be, even if they claim themselves to be a dog or a cat or some type of an animal, and they're literally doing that. They're literally doing it. And the teachers can't say anything against it. Because if
Mm.
they do, what's the difference between a human being, a little boy, a biological boy, the only kind of boy that there is, a biological male, a male, who's claiming that he's a female? If you have to uh, through this gender affirming care, these gender ideologies, you have to accept him for what he claims to be. Otherwise, you're being politically incorrect and you're being abusive and you're oppressing him and doing an injustice. Then the same thing would apply to the little boy who's claiming to be a dog. And if he starts barking at you to answer the question of what's 2 + 2, and he barks 4 times to give you the answer, then you have to accept it as the teacher, because you can't. If you're going to do for one, you have to do for the other. By example, what doctors are going through right now, I talk about this in the book. Doctors are going through a situation where if they do a double mastectomy for a woman who's got breast cancer, they remove both of the breasts. If they do it for the breast cancer patient, they also have to do it for the so-called transgender woman who actually is a biological man claiming that he's a woman. Let me correct that. See, it's all confusing, right? So if they remove the breast of the breast cancer patient, they also have to remove the breast of the biological woman who claims that she's a man, just the same. Otherwise, you're committing an injustice against the so-called transgender man, who's actually a biological woman that has healthy breasts, that wants to get them chopped off, just like a cancer patient would want their breast to get chopped off for legitimate reasons. The doctor, that's the direction to go for the cancer patient. But they have to, through gender affirming care, it's a law, it's laws. They have to do it. They don't have a choice in the matter. If they choose not to do it, they can be sued for malpractice. They can lose their license. They could lose their practices. They could be locked up. They can be fined and sued, and that's what's going on. That is literally going on. Teachers are being fired if they don't accept gender ideology. I mentioned some of these teachers in the book. Some of these politicians, some of these doctors who are speaking out against these things, but they're being targeted and they're being attacked, and it's just really crazy, man. Let me read something just real quick. There's a chapter of the book, chapter 4, titled "The Genderbread Person." I'm just going to read a couple of paragraphs right quick. It says, with all the pro-pedophilia doctors of the past being responsible for developing gender ideologies, it should be of no surprise to anyone that the target audience of the transgender movement is children. Those ideologies are being taught in classrooms from preschool to major universities all over the United States, as well as the rest of the world. Young people are being indoctrinated to accept the idea that a person can be whatever gender/sex they choose to be, despite their biological makeup. They are taught to believe they can be a male, female, both male and female, or neither, based on how they feel. They are taught that they can be male one day and then female the next. They are taught to believe that it is possible for a person to have a male brain and a female body, and vice versa. Through curriculum, guest speakers, and teacher training that are all provided by transgender activists. They read books like I Am Jazz, provided by a transgender activist. They read books like I Am Jazz and read A Crayon Story, which is a story about a blue crayon wrapped in red paper that thinks that it's red. In most instances, this indoctrination is being done without the permission of parents who usually have no idea what's going on in the classroom. There's also handouts called the Genderbread Person and its new replacement, the Genderbread Unicorn, the Gender Unicorn, that I have examples of in the book on page 161 and 163, that are being seen in an ever-growing number of classrooms across the United States. Both handouts are widely used throughout the country while backed by the Biden administration. In the process, transgender activists are moving away from claiming that biological females or males identify as the opposite sex to a more radical claim that says that a biological male or female is the opposite sex, as I just mentioned a moment ago. They also claim that sex is assigned at birth, and therefore sex can therefore be reassigned later in life. Of course, that requires medical costuming and physical mutilation, but they're okay with that. A statement about who someone is more powerful than a statement being made about how they identify. Therefore, trans activists no longer claim that a transgender woman is the man who identifies as a woman. Now, the man who identifies as a woman is a real woman, so they say. Their claims are metaphysical in nature, but they try to present them as scientific. They claim gender identity determines a person's sex, and that the objective realities, they claim gender identity determines a person's sex, and that uh, objective realities do not mean anything when compared to a person's subjective identity. In the process, they're teaching children that a boy can be a girl and a girl can be a boy, or a child can be both or neither. Trans activists are promoting these ideas through the use of cartoon character graphics that they know will attract children. One of the most effective and widespread of those graphics is the genderbread person. The graphics are used to indoctrinate children and to encourage them to question their own gender identities and sex. Graphics like the genderbread person cause them to focus on their bodies and to question their own human nature. It teaches that whenever it comes to sex and gender, we have 5 distinct aspects of ourselves to consider. At the top of the handout, there's an arrow that points to a rainbow-colored brain that says identity. In the upper right-hand corner, you see gender identity and a quote that says, "How you in your head define your gender." So it says, "How you in your head define your gender." That is based on how a person aligns or does not align with what they understand to be options for gender. The graphic also lists the gender identities of womanness and manness, two-spirited, and genderqueer, of what it says are infinite possibilities. There's also an arrow that points to 4 little boxes that indicate the possibilities for gender exist along a spectrum. Little dots are used to indicate the spectrum as they teach children that they need to think about their own gender identity and where they exist along that spectrum. Then right below gender identity is gender expression, that they define as the way a person presents gender through their actions, style of dress, and demeanor. That could mean a person is feminine, masculine, butch, femme, androgynous, or gender neutral, all of which exist along a spectrum. And below that is biological sex, with similar markings that suggest that it too exists along a spectrum. Below that is sexual attraction and romantic attraction. The major message that the handout is teaching children is that four of those items do not have to match with the 5th, meaning gender identity, gender expression, sexual attraction, and romantic attraction do not have to have a relationship with biological sex. It teaches children that their biological sex could be one thing and their gender expression could be another. It says that none of it needs to match, and that it probably doesn't. And the final little bit right here. The genderbread person graphic is one of the earliest used to indoctrinate children, but it drew backlash from trans activists for looking too much like a genderbread man. The other issue is that it says biological sex on that handout, which is not considered to be politically correct, a politically correct term amongst the transgender community. Therefore, that handout has been replaced in most places with the genderbread unicorn. And on that handout, the phrase biological sex has been replaced with the phrase sex assigned at birth. And so it's crazy, man. Yeah. So I go on further in the chapter talking about these things. And it's crazy, man.
It is quite disturbing. Like I said, here in the UK, there has been discussion regarding it, and our Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who I think he's been kind of kicked out recently due to some other issues, but he actually spoke against it, and then he did get criticised for speaking out against it. And then we had some scientists who are involved in sport, because we've got the Commonwealth Games coming up soon here in the UK, and we had some scientists. I think one was called Ross Tucker and another one called Joanne Harper. These 2 scientists were doing studies regarding transgender athletes and what advantages or disadvantages they have in competing. And it's still in its early stages, the tests and experiments, but they both are saying that yes, there are advantages and disadvantages for transgender people being put into different categories other than they especially from birth they're supposed to be in one particular category. It's quite confusing, to be honest. They are born a male, but now they say they want to be a female. So what they're trying to do is, the scientist is trying to figure out how much chemicals they have in their body to see which side of the fence they're on. The individual is on. It's absolutely crazy because if they've got one particular chemical which is more, then they can't be put into a female category. And is or if they've got less of that chemical, they have to be put into the female category. If they've got too much of that particular chemical, they have to be put in the male. It's just totally absolutely ridiculous. It really is.
Insanity, man.
You know, and we had some questions in the chat, Brother Kenny. I don't know if you saw the chat.
No, I haven't been looking. Yes, the book. I see the brother Rashid Ibn Kamal Ibn Arab. Okay. Assalamu alaikum to you. Yes, the book will be a physical copy. Yes, as a matter of fact, you can get a physical copy, a free physical copy of the book, if you become a member of the book launch team. If you'd like to become a member of the book launch team, send me an email at info@kennybomer.com. I'm going to put it up here in a second. Send me an email. Bear with me one second. All right, yeah. So if you'd like to become a member of the book launch team and get a free copy of the book, email me at info@kennybomer.com and I'll tell you how to do that.
Simple as that. Just to get a free copy of the book, guys, all you got to do is email Brother Kenny. You don't have to send any of your bank details or anything. All you have to do is just contact Brother Kenny Bomer. I've already sent you an email. I didn't have to put my credit card details in there, nothing. So, guys, don't be shy. You get a free book, and I actually got the copy of Consider Islam. I think the second edition. And I'm still going through it, and I still use some of those arguments in some discussions that I may have with non-Muslims and so forth. So, guys, you know, the book Consider Islam, the second edition, I forgot how many pages it was. I think it's nearly 250, 300 pages.
I think it's 243, if I remember correctly, something like that. This book actually has more pages than that one, but yeah. But yeah, so if you would like a free copy of this book, just email me and you'll become a member of the book launch team. The book will be published on September the 5th, and so as a member of the book launch team, you can got a couple of things you can help me with, and it's nothing financial, by the way. It has nothing to do with that. But if you'd like to become a member of the book launch team, just simply send me an email at info@kennybomer.com, and I'm going to send you a free copy of the book, the actual
Amazing.
book itself, the real book.
Alhamdulillah. There's another question, Brother Kenny. Oliver Catwell has made an interesting point in the chat. I don't know if you can see the...
Yes, it says it's interesting that trans activists argue vehemently that the difference between sex and gender, but they don't want to redefine sex assigned at birth as apato, gender assumed at birth. Yeah. So that's one of their tactics. For one, you know, we live in the age of modern technology, and I talk about this in the book, and I give a scenario in that Um, for one, why is there a need for um, ultrasound technicians that can tell you what the sex of the baby is going to be before the baby's even born?
Subhanallah. That's
So
a
who
beautiful point.
so who is the ultrasound technician? They could be accused of assigning gender at birth by
Subhanallah.
because of looking at the X-ray, the ultrasound, and saying, "Oh, it looks like you're going to have a boy." Well, how dare they, right?
Subhanallah.
How
Beautiful
dare they?
point.
Now,
Mashallah.
what if think about this scenario? You go to the ultrasound before the baby's born, and they tell you you're going to have a boy, but according to transgender people, the doctor assigns sex at birth. So, under their thinking, uh, if that were true, then the doctor could just as easily say, on a whim, just to say, even though he sees testicles and a penis on the male baby, could say, "Oh, you have a little girl here." Oh, wait a minute. And I asked this question in the book. Wouldn't the appropriate thing to do, if that were true, that sex can be assigned at birth, wouldn't the appropriate approach be, wouldn't there be something in the medical guidance in their medical books that says that because sex is assigned at birth, at least get the input from the parents that are having the child about what sex they want their baby to be if it was assigned at birth. I mean, that would be the obvious thing to do, because what if the doctor says, "Oh, you have a brand new baby girl," and the dad says, "Oh, no, I want to change it to a boy. I want it to be a boy."
Yeah.
How dare you
Subhanallah.
assign it to be a girl? I didn't ask you to make it a girl. I want it to be a boy. Man, listen, it'd be like walking to a casino, walking into the birth room at the hospital would be like walking into a casino. You don't know what you're going to get in the situation. You don't know what you're going to get. It'd be like utter chaos, because if the doctor really assigned sex at birth, he could just on any given Thursday just decide, every Thursday I'm gonna assign all the kids in the hospital that are born that day. On Thursdays, they're all going to be males. On Fridays, they're all going to be females. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but the doctors, if they assign sex at birth, they would have that liberty to do such crazy nonsense. And that would mean that if sex is assigned at birth, then you have every right later in life to reassign it. And that's what they say. Because sex is assigned at birth, you can reassign it later in life. And reassign it again if you want to. You can reassign it every hour if you want to. You could be a male or a male this hour and a female the next hour, and a male the following hour, and a female the hour after that. Or you could be both male and female at the same time. They literally say this. You could be male and female at the same time, or neither. Or you could be some third option. Or you could be one of the 112 that are listed in the book, 112 so-called genders that they have developed and come up with in this gender ideology. So you might not even be a human male or female at all. You've been bamboozled and been duped. It's tomfoolery. It's double hijinks, because someone's been lying to us all this time, telling us that we're males and females. If what they say is true, we've been tricked. Or what they're saying is utter nonsense. I mean, and obviously that's the case. It's again, it goes back to here we are in 2022, and we're talking about someone and groups of people, not just one individual, but groups of people who insist that a person could be trapped into the wrong body. we're actually talking about these things, and we're talking about
You know what it reminds me of,
it's
Brother
real.
Kenny? You know what it reminds me of, Brother Kenny? It reminds me of when they say Jesus was man and God at the same time. This is what it.
Yeah,
Sorry, bro.
it falls along that line because
It's
it's
just,
like, come on, do you see what you're saying here? It's a it's it's just utter insanity. You're making yourself believe these things.
mm,
And praise be to Allah, I believe that there's going to be a lot of people, inshallah, that because of
sure.
it, they're going to think about those things and be like, you know what? Because people already naturally like, how can a father be his own son and a son be his own father? They already, how could so Jesus is God, but he's also the Son of God at the same time. How does this work?
Mm.
This doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
And
Jesus
so,
is the Father. Jesus is the Father, and it's just so confusing and disturbing that you can basically take your thought process out your mind, put it in a box, and just bury it, and just live your life with with an empty skull, and you can just like a zombie just walk around and accept everything without even questioning it. And it's very disturbing. What is, like you just made a beautiful point there. The next level is going to be the father is going to say to the son, you know what? I want to be the son today. Why don't you be the father? Why do you go to mummy's room and I'll sleep in your room and you can be dad and I'll be you? You
yeah,
got, what's the next what's the next step?
I
Auzu billah.
self-identify as my own dad. So I'm dad now. You know, I self-identify as a 15-year-old freshman in high school. I mean, I want to go to high school. 15-year-olds are supposed to go to school. I mean, think about it. 15-year-olds are supposed to go to school, and or
I want to go to school.
to go to eat at the restaurant, and I should be able to get, eat for children's prices instead of adult prices. I should be able to go to the movies and get a child's ticket instead
Yeah,
of the more expensive adult ticket. I
yeah.
should be able to identify as a person who's up in age and get the discount that
Mm.
older people get, for food and different things. I want to get Social Security right now because I self-identify as a man, and I'm 70 years old as far as I'm concerned. I mean, what?
Subhanallah.
I mean, really? I mean, is there any end to it? If you start opening this door, this means that the human being has now become their own God. Each individual has now
Subhanallah.
you
So
become
true.
your own God. Yeah, I mean, really, because now
So
you
true.
you decide what your reality is,
Mm.
which defies actual reality. Now you decide your own reality, and it doesn't matter if people agree or not, because we're going to put pressure on them to accept everyone. It's all inclusive. Accept everyone for who they say they are and who they feel they are, because who they say and feel they are is who they actually are. That's what they're telling us.
Imagine, imagine today. I actually think I'm a millionaire. So I'm going to go to the car dealership, to the Mercedes car dealership, say I'm a millionaire. I'm not really a millionaire, but today I'm a millionaire.
Yeah,
But I want that car off the showroom. And
yeah.
people are like, what are you on about? What?
Well, yeah.
Where you?
Yeah, the thing
It's
is,
just
that you would be no more able to prove that you were a millionaire than the man who is claiming that
Subhanallah.
he's a woman trapped in a man's body is able to
Mm,
prove that he's a female. Because I mean,
mm,
the obvious question is, okay, so you're a female trapped inside this body that I'm looking at right here with this Adam's apple and all this
mm.
facial hair that I can see, that I see the razor stubble, and I see you've got a size 15 or 16 foot here, and look how big your hands are. So okay, so you're a female. Okay, so how about you prove it? Prove you're a female.
Subhanallah.
Can you?
Subhanallah.
Well, yeah, because that's how I feel.
Mm.
That's how I see myself. That's your proof?
Subhanallah. There.
Well, prove that you're a millionaire.
Subhanallah.
You can't prove it because you're
Yeah.
never going to be able to produce the evidence that proves that you're a millionaire because you don't have the money in the bank. You just don't have it.
Mm.
So
I'm gonna stop training now because I think I've already got a six pack. I'm already 7 foot whatever. I'm built with pure muscle now. You know
you're a
what?
champion. You're a champion
Yeah,
of the world.
I'm the world champion. Yeah, what's the point? Yeah, yeah, great.
Look, you got
Uh,
all the titles. You unified all the titles. You whooped everyone on earth. You whooped Mike Tyson. I mean, come on. I mean, it's
Subhan, billah. It's just
so that's
crazy,
what I would
brother
ask them.
Kenny.
Okay, so hmm, okay, nice to meet you. My name's Kenny, and I'm actually a man. And okay, Shelly, so you're 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 a female. Okay. Well, Shelly, can you prove it? How would you how,
I'm wearing a skirt and I'm wearing some high heels. What more proof do you need, brother Kenny?
well, the thing is, well, yeah, well, that looks like a costume to me. Anyone could don a costume. I could put on a police officer's outfit. That doesn't make me that doesn't make me a police officer. Matter of fact, I can get arrested if I do that because I'm
Yeah,
impersonating a police officer.
please, yeah,
You know,
true.
I could you know put on a soldier's
Subhanallah.
outfit and
Mm.
pretend I'm in the army, but I'm actually not. I'm not in the army. So you donned a costume and nothing more. I mean, it's so,
Absolutely.
so because you put on lipstick, uh, you, you you know you're Kim Kardashian.
Mm.
You're a Kardashian. No, you're not. You're just a man with some lipstick on. And
Subhanallah. Man.
but the thing is the most basic of questions. I mean, seriously, if someone come up and said, "Hi, I'm Shelly," and you can tell, "Hi, I'm Shelly," you know, trying to soften his voice up as much as you can to make himself appear as Shelly. But you just
Subhanallah.
simply say, "Okay, Shelly, uh, prove to me that you're a woman." Can you? You can't. Your words aren't reality. Your feelings aren't reality. The way a person feels has nothing to do with reality. Feelings are how people respond to um, to realities that they're dealing with, right? I mean, you feel sad because something that happened that made you feel sad, but you know, just because one person feels sad, and equate this, and I kind of mentioned this in the book as well. Just because someone feels a particular way doesn't mean you have to feel the same way that they do. So someone can feel like it's the end of the world, like there's no other options out there for whatever dilemma they're facing. But you don't have to feel the same way. You have a right to say, no, I believe that we're going to make it out of this situation, and I'm not going to give up. Whereas this other person feels like giving up, or a person might feel that they're 10 foot tall. I feel like I'm 10 foot tall. Well, you're not 10 foot tall, and you're not going to make me feel like you're 10 foot tall. And I don't know what it feels
Subhanallah.
like to be 10 foot tall because I'm not 10 foot tall. I don't know what that's like. Do you know what it's like? Because if we get this measuring tape out and measure you, I'm pretty sure that the measuring tape is going to prove that you're not 10 foot tall, even though you feel like you are. So your feeling is not a reality, and that goes you know that goes for any and everything. Your feeling is not a reality. It's just a response to the realities that we deal with. And but those feelings can be deceptive. You know, um, the way a person feels is not always in line with truth.
Yeah, I think Oliver just made another point here. As a doctor, I fear that if I can't ask a person's sex, then I will neglect sex-specific screening examinations and medical tests.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting.
Well, the fact of the matter is that these so-called transgender people, when they to get the proper medical care, they have to say what their biological sex is, and because the way you treat you can't treat males and females with the same treatments in many instances, because the bodies are different, they respond differently, and so they are forced to, if they want the proper medical care that's in line with what their reality actually is, their biology, then they have to tell what their biological sex is. And that within itself should be testimony enough. Let's look at the evidence. Let's take it to the court of logic and reason. And what does the court of logic and reason, what's the evidence that's being produced there? The evidence being produced there is that you can't get this particular medication because, as a man, not the woman that you're pretending to be, as a man, you have to take this medication as opposed to that medication that women would take. Not males and women, males and females can't always be, they can't be treated medically the same way. That's a fact. Maybe in some instances, we can all take aspirin and stuff like that. But when it comes down to certain diseases and treatments and so forth, the intervention, the medical treatment is different between males and females. That's just the reality. So
I do think, Brother Kenny, that the scientists will actually play a big part in this, and they will decide and advise the government and people of authority to deal with this in a particular way. Until then, this problem will just continue to gain. Unfortunately, it will gain more strength from some elements, and it is disturbing. But maybe, inshallah, the tide would turn, and people will kind of really think about. The population have to step in and think enough's enough now, but will they? I don't know. But it's a difficult one, Brother Kenny, because it depends what's happening on the news right now. If there wasn't too much of this financial worries for the population, I think this will be more discussed in the news outlets and more in the public's eye. The fact that we are now kind of distracted with what's happening around the world, this is kind of being put, maybe it's being brushed under the carpet, but I still think it's being pumped, but it's hidden kind of slowly pumped into the pipes, slowly. I don't know, how do you feel about that? Because in the UK is a lot different than in the US. How things are done here in the UK with politics and stuff. We are more kind of like conservative. We're more thoughtful, and actions are taken. Recently here in the UK, some of the politicians were caught watching porn within the Houses of Parliament. We had incidents of the elder statesmen or the politicians physically groping other men, and stuff like this. There's been a lot of stuff happening here in the UK when it comes to politics. So, it's a real difficult one, Brother Kenny. It really is. But I'm happy that you've got this book and it will be out soon, and a way for us people to really give ourselves some information and highlight the issue in a very thoughtful way. Very interesting, Brother Kenny. Thank you so much.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, brother, it's the thing is, some of these doctors are speaking out already, but they are being they're receiving a lot of backlash, and it's crazy, man. I talk about a few of these gender affirming doctors and these doctors on the other side that speak out against it, but it's an uphill battle. It's a because the government's putting these things in place as well, and when the from the top down, they're pushing these ideologies and have in essence that have become uh, gender ideology, gender activists and transgender activists themselves by putting these policies in place. I mean, we're fighting an uphill battle here, and so man, we got to come together as God fearing people and speak out, for the truth and face the falsehood, just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us to do. So, brother, I appreciate it.
Just a final thought, Brother Kenny, before you go on. I appreciate your time. Actually, the only people I think who will have the guts to speak up about it are the Muslims, the ones who are actually practicing their faith. I can't see anybody else actually speaking up about it. Uh, yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. To be honest, I think majority of the people will speak up about it, and it will be from the Muslims, and I think they will be getting shut down by the media and people of government and authority to say, look at these Muslims, they're backwards and so forth. But no, we are just want to put everything back to its natural course. Imagine a lion wants to be a lioness, but you've got the mane, you've got the beard, you're a lion, you're not a lioness. It's just not going to work. So we have to really think about how we educate our children and their children, how they are educated. For example, our grandchildren, and then our great grandchildren. Where is this going to end? Where is this gonna the ripple? Where is it going to end? And unfortunately, unless we get together and deal with it, it's not going to happen. And thank you, Brother Kenny. I don't want to keep you up to you, mashallah. I know you're busy. Jazakallah khair for letting me come on and say a few words.
Yeah, thank you for joining me, brother. It's been a pleasure. And I'd like to talk to Brother Jamal. I would set up a stream with Brother Jamal at some point, inshallah. But yeah, it's good hearing your voice, brother. And I apologize for not being as active as of late, but I've just been busy with the book and working on a contract, fulfilling contract, and so forth. So just been busy, man. Been busy.
Alhamdulillah.
So alhamdulillah, indeed. So, brother, thank you for coming to the panel.
You're
And
welcome.
close again by saying, if you'd like to become a member of the book launch team, you could do so by emailing me. It's just real simple. Just send me an email. Say, I want to be a member of the book launch team. And send me an email at info@kennybomer.com, and I'll make you a member of the book launch team. And I'll send you some information about how to get a free copy of the book. And we got other books coming. Look at these books. Inshallah, these books will be, if you see the first two already, the first edition and second edition of Consider Islam, but You Might Be an Islamophobe If is on the way, and the book Everything is a Test will be coming eventually as well, inshallah. I've already started writing both of those books. I actually put You Might Be an Islamophobe If on hold to be able to get this book, Your Right to Self-Identify, My Right to Disagree, get it published, inshallah.
Mashallah, I love the cover. I love the cover on the red book. You might be Islamophobe if, with the man spying through the blinds. That's amazing.
Scared me.
That's awesome, mashallah. Excellent.
Who's out there? Yeah.
Mashallah.
So yeah, I'm inshallah, I'm looking forward to getting these books published, and inshallah, may Allah accept the efforts and the intentions. But thank you, brother, for your support, and please keep me in your prayer, and I'm gonna keep you in my prayer as well. And yeah, so I thank everyone for watching and for listening. I do encourage you to hit subscribe, like, and share, and go to Brother Muhammad's channel on Coventry Faith Foundation and subscribe there as well, inshallah, God willing. So I'll leave you by saying, Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon everyone who's been watching and listening now or in the future. I do bear witness there's no God other than Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his final servant, the seal of all prophets. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And thank you, you as well, Oliver Catwell, and everyone else who's been participating in the chat. We'll see you next time. We'll leave it at that. May Allah make ease for each and every one of us. May have mercy on each and every one of us on the day of judgment. Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.